Welcome to Somerset Overtime, a show where we talk about sports from around town. We've interviewed some individual coaches about their sports in the past. Today we're here with someone who works with all the teams, and she has a very important job taking care of the athletes at Somerset Berkley Regional High School. It's Susan Medeiros, the athletic trainer for the team. So, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So I always like to start in the beginning. So can you tell me tell me why you decided to become an athletic trainer? Why did?
Well, I've always been interested in medical injuries, even when I was little. Actually in high school, I was with the wrestling team a lot because my brother wrestled, and every time someone was bleeding, I was like, can I help? Can I have a little gauze here? So there's a picture in my yearbook somewhere of me sitting on the stage in the old Odd, waiting for somebody to have a bloody nose so I could help. So I've always been medical, animals, and once I was in high school, I had a few injuries. I got interested with Coach Palm. I did a sports medicine class, and then I was hooked after that.
That's the legendary Mike Pomelo,
Yep.
who was an athletic trainer
if somebody
here
graduated here,
for a long time.
They ask, so if somebody graduated from here, and they're like, oh, what are you doing? Well, I'm Coach Palm. And then they all know.
Did you learn a lot from him?
Yeah, from the class. The class, we was a sports medicine class, so it went over injuries, it went over some evaluations, some anatomy, and I thought it was fascinating. Loved every bit of it. And so we don't have a sports medicine class here, but that's what solidified my athletic training major. And probably for my junior year, I said that's what I was going to do.
Maybe in the future they have that innovation pathways where they are talking about some of the medical fields. Maybe.
Well, I actually do go into Mr. Talbot's classes. He has a few anatomy classes. They all have different names, but I pop in and do a little athletic training. I did concussions last year. This year I'm going to do a class on knee evaluations, some splinting, and some cranial nerves, which is concussion specific.
So you graduated from Somerset High School.
I did.
What year?
In 02.
In 02.
Mm-hmm.
And then where did you go to college?
So I went to Russell Sage College, which is in Troy, New York. Small, all-women's college. It was about 800 women. So I loved the small atmosphere. I didn't want to be lost in a class of 300 kids. So it was like high school-sized classes. And my brother went to college pretty close to me, so I really enjoyed it. Only 3 hours away.
I had classes with 300 kids when I was at UMass Amherst. So
yeah, that's a lot.
Talking about. What was your major there?
Athletic training.
Okay.
Yeah, I did go in with the thought of teaching as well, but that wasn't really what I was interested in. So I went straight to athletic training. I also got my EMT as well, my EMTB in college. I had that for about 6 years to help me get me comfortable and in the field, and so I really enjoyed that.
Okay. And then after college, where was your first job as an athletic trainer?
So during the summers, I started working at a sports medicine physical therapy clinic in Rhode Island, so Ulichi Sports Medicine. So once I was out, they knew who I was. They had a job waiting. So it was a outreach program. So it's a secondary school outreach. So I worked in a physical therapy clinic and then was at Barrington High School. So I was there for 5 years.
5 years?
Before coming here, yep.
In one of those years, you were the Rhode Island Trainer of the Year. I know that.
Yes, I was. Yeah, I have my plaque up in here. Yep, I did a lot of volunteer athletic training. I'd worked with the Eastern Athletic Training Conference. I did a lot of help in facilitating the registration for it and just being a big part of it. And so my efforts with that and in the field working as athletic trainer helped me earn that.
Okay. And then you came here. What year did you come to Somerset Berkley?
In November 2012. So right at the end of that football season, there was no athletic trainer. There was just a lag where they were looking for somebody. They were making it a full-time job. And I came in the last 2 weeks of football, and then it was the last Thanksgiving game before they just took down the old field. So it was, wow. When I came back, everything was the same. Coach Palm's office was the same.
So what was that like for you coming back to your old school to be the athletic trainer?
I was nervous at first. I didn't, to be so integrated into the community made me a little bit leery, because Barrington, I was very much involved in it, and I'm like, but now I live here. And I was pleasantly surprised. I loved every part of it. It's nice to see familiar faces at the high school. It wasn't that many, but there were still faces here. I saw you again on the sidelines. A lot of the coaches changed, but like my high school high school track coach, Coach B, Coach Bernardo would be at some track meets, and I got to see him and Coach Azevedo, and so familiar faces was really nice. I really enjoy it.
Because you competed in what sports here?
Track. I did a little field hockey, but track was my sport.
Okay.
Yeah, cross country, winter, spring.
Which races or events?
I love the mile. I also did the 4x4, 800, some medleys and stuff, but really the mile was my favorite.
That was.
Yep. Cross country too. Cross country that's its own entity, but I loved cross country. Yeah. The distance, yeah.
So you work with all the teams. I mean, what are the most common injuries you see with the athletes?
I'd have to say shin splints and overuse in the beginning of the season, when athletes are demanding so much so fast from their bodies, and they just come in, they're like, my shins, I'm sore, and then once, beginning of the season's a little quiet, and then it gets heavy with a lot of kids, a lot of soreness, and then they start getting to the groove of things, and it calms down, and then it's more specific injuries during season.
Yeah, different sports, I'm sure there are common injuries that are specific to certain sports.
Yes. Right now, specifically football and wrestling are really high contact, so there's a lot of abrasions and cuts and like bleeding and things like that, as well as musculoskeletal injuries.
Well, you wanted to help with the bleeding, going back to when you were 5 years old.
Yep.
So what are your responsibilities as the trainer? I know you do a lot around here, besides just being a trainer, because I see you helping out with a lot of other things as well. But but as the trainer, what is your...
So mainly, if I start in the fall, football starts mid-August, so that's before even school starts. But before even that, I'm doing clearances. So I clear every student athlete for their sports season. They register on FamilyID.com. They put their medical information, their medical history. The parents sign off on, the ability to participate in the season. So I go through all the registrations. I make sure we have valid physical on file, impact test, which is a concussion test. Compile all that. If they have a medical history that I need to get deeper with, I contact parents and just make sure everyone is safe and ready to go and cleared before the first day of practice. Football season, before season, we also fit all the football pads. So every single athlete before contact has to have chin strap, helmet, shoulder pads, everything checked by me. I check everything off, but they have to be seen to be properly ready to be out there.
They're using safer helmets now too, right?
Yeah, we do still have quite a few different helmets, but they're all, they're very good. Our coaches do a good job keeping up with, they usually are the ones saying, we're going to start with this. Rydell Speed Flux seems to be the favorite right now. And I like it. It's a good one. Yeah. Other seasons, I have all the medical kits ready for coaches. What do I think? I'm looking at all the coolers. I have to have everything for each season ready to go before season gets going. And during season, I'm watching everyone's physicals as they expire. I'm emailing. I need to have a new physical. It has to be on file per MIAA. It has to be within 13 months. So Mr. Francis and I are doing stuff throughout season to make sure everything is by the rules. I also have policy and procedures that we have for weather, heat, concussions, COVID. So all those things we're continually updating, keeping AEDs up to date. So I do have a lot of things that continuously
Yeah, I remember a little instrument you used during the summer when it was very hot. I can't remember what it was called, but
Yeah, the Kestrel.
you were making sure things were safe for
Yep, it
practice.
takes the global temperature to make sure that it's safe enough, warm and cold. So even cold, a few years back, Thanksgiving, we almost thought about canceling. It was close, but I think we were at 15 degrees, so we were okay. But I was out there testing the temperature. But yeah, I have to cancel practice or limit practice games. So coming into it, that's pretty stressful. No one wants me to cancel it just because it's, especially games.
Not a Thanksgiving Day game, too.
Yes.
Hopefully we'll have one next year.
Yes. Yes.
So how does the concussion testing work?
So concussion, we do the impact test, which is a computer-based neurological test. Everyone thinks it's an IQ test. It's not. It is short-term memory, long-term memory, reaction time. It distracts you, tells you remember something, comes back. It's about a half hour. Kids can take it at their home, so that makes it much easier because I used to have to come in and have groups of kids, facilitate, like have them sign up, show up, and when they don't have it, I have to come in individually for specific kids to have that test done. So it has to be done at the beginning of the season, so it's a baseline test. And so if they have a concussion, if a physician requests it, we can retest the athlete, see where they are versus their baseline testing. Not a ton of doctors use it, but it is a great tool to have something to go by. Especially if we're not sure. I mean, concussions are still very non-exact science. So all the tools we can use is what we want to use them all.
I mean, at the high school level, how many concussions are we dealing with?
It depends. We've had a couple lower seasons. I mean, we could have 20 during the fall season. That's soccer included, football. I've had kids fall in cross country. There's some sports you may not think.
Yeah,
It could be at home.
They say isn't cheerleading's one of the biggest sports for concussions.
Cheerleading, yep. Yeah, so it does vary. I do, at the end of every year, I send in to Massachusetts, I believe it's the Interscholastic League, they request from every high school a report of how many we've had all season. Is it just athlete? Is it student population, which we only do the student athletes? And so we send in a report so they do monitor and just sort of keep an eye on. And we didn't have wrestling for a while, so that it didn't. Sometimes we have more in wrestling, sometimes not. It's a factor in all sports.
Yeah, sometimes you're just not lucky, right? You hit your head the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had kids first day of football just going over form, and they just fell wrong. And so it doesn't have to be a high impact hit. It could be small hits. It could be just a fluke fall that could cause it.
What are the most difficult injuries that you have to deal with?
I do get a lot of kids who come in. They're telling me about the injury. History is very important in injuries, so I question them and get the whole story. And then they're like, well, it's been going on 3 to 5 years. And I'm like, how many doctors have you seen? 3. I'm like, how? So some ongoing injuries are tough, but it's a whole fresh look. So I can then take the information that they've had, maybe from the physician, it hasn't worked, why? So when I have somebody that's difficult, my room at the end of the day is packed. It's packed, kids are coming in, they're getting water across the room, they're getting evaluations, they're doing rehab, getting taped. So if I have somebody that I look at them and I say, this is difficult, they wait. So concussions, I have wait. It stinks that they have to wait, but I need to be able to concentrate on them and talk to them and document what I need to document to really try to figure out. Sometimes I may not figure it out. Sometimes they can give me a different direction, but giving the kids time, sometimes you just have to really just sit and focus on something. So those take a lot of time, which sometimes I don't have enough of, but I do get quite a bit of those types of injuries.
And you still have a doctor at University Orthopedics who helps
Yes.
out the school a little bit?
Yes, Dr. Brett Owens. So he's out of university, and he graduated, a Somerset graduate. So he is very helpful. Even I have coaches who are like, I have this injury. Who's the best doc to go to? I really do like University of Rhode Island, and so if I don't know the specific doctor, I can message him, and he'll give me, great advice of who to send to. He also gets our athletes in a good, timely manner. So, Friday night football, let's say I have an ACL tear, I can probably get them in by Monday, Tuesday to be seen, where other offices may take longer. He really does help us out. And he does surgery too, so he is, he's very, very helpful for us.
And you said that March is National Athletic Trainers Month?
Yes. Yep. So it was very fitting for this to happen in March. So it's National Athletic Trainers Month, and I was telling you earlier that I have friends who go to the Today Show, and they hold signs up, and it's just to bring awareness. We're always trying to push for awareness of athletic trainers and how important they are to be in the high school setting, specifically because college, there's going to be athletic trainers. Pro teams, there's going to be athletic trainers. High schools, like right now, there's a lot of schools that don't have athletic trainers, and it's concerning. It's especially with injuries I see, emergencies and stuff. We in contact sports, athletic trainers are a very valuable tool to be at the facility for the athletes, for coaching, for everybody.
So we're very lucky to have you here. You always seem so positive when you're around the teams, too. Why do you like your job so much?
It's funny, because when I was in college, some people ask me, when are you going to go to college? When are you going to move up and go to college? And it's not how that works. I could go to college. I could work in college. There's a lot of pros, a lot of cons there. Same thing with high school. I've always loved the high school setting. I love being with the teams, being part of the teams. A lot of athletes, when they ask me about athletic training and maybe being interested in it, I'm like, you're still you're part of each team. The kids are great. The kids are very fun. You go through the good or the bad, the great games, losing season. Yeah. It's still, it's very fun, this setting. The kids help make it. And great coaching staff. That also helps make the job fun and something I like to do.
Do you do professional development? Do you do
Yes.
updates on your work?
Yes. Yep. So every 2 years we have 50 continuing education credits that we do. So I'm always doing courses either online or in person. I do a Eastern Athletic Training Conference where you can go and just go to meetings all day, lectures, and really take home some good stuff to be able to put in and apply into my athletic training room.
You work all kinds of hours because there's games at night, there's games on the weekends, there's games in the afternoon during the week.
Yes. Yep. And you're usually with me. Yeah, I'm almost always on the sideline with you on the sideline.
But you juggle that with your family and everything else.
Yes, that is a benefit of being in the high school setting. College, there's a lot of travel, like all weekend travel. You're with, a benefit would be you're specifically with girls soccer. That is your team. You have those athletes to take care of, and you're very intense with them. Where here I have 350 athletes, all different sports. I travel with varsity football, varsity hockey. I'm at home games, so that's in Driscoll Rink. But I don't have to travel for multiple days or anything like that. And it depends on the season. In the fall, hours are definitely later. Football games can be 10:30 coming home, 11, and then a game ends, I think I'm going to be getting home like 9:30, and then somebody comes in with an injury or my head doesn't feel good. Right there, it's a whole evaluation. My job isn't done until everyone's safe and ready to go home. In the winter, practices go till 7:30 every night. Games go till about 8:30. In the spring, it's a little bit earlier. But those games aren't as late, baseball and softball, but each season changes, and that's another thing I love about my job. It's always changing. Different athletes, different coaches, different, either I'm outside or inside. Winter's very nice to be inside.
Yeah.
But then the beginning of the spring is usually wet and cold and windy. So it's always changing.
I mean, when you're dealing with an injury too, a lot of times the kid's got to be stressed, and how do you calm them down?
That's actually something surprisingly a very difficult part. I've had kids, who may have an asthma attack. It's really more calming them than the situation itself. And so just, being confident and reassuring, and the kids knowing me, which is great, being in this setting and not, going to different schools. The kids know me, trust me, and that helps me a lot with, you're going to be okay, we're going to take care of you, I know what's going on. Keeping them calm is super important, and sometimes a major part of the injury.
Okay, I think that's all my questions, and unless there's anything else you'd like to add or about your job or.
No, I think I'm good.
We've been talking with Susan Medeiros, the athletic trainer at Somerset Berkley Regional High School. You'll see her at around the games for all the sports at the school. We will see you next time on Somerset Overtime.